It's Thursday, September 1st, 2022. Markets just closed a little while ago. Wanted to make a quick video today to kind of recap on what just occurred. Dow Jones closes up, surges at the end, closed up 145 points today. Now, what I find interesting is the 10-year is at a little bit over 3.26 right now. It's up over 15 basis points since yesterday, surging. It's interesting when you think about how the Dow Jones could be up today. Very interesting. But markets across the board, other than that, very flat. Dow Jones up 145, and the 10-year up 15 basis points from yesterday at 3.263 right now. The 2-year is sitting at around 3.5%, the highest it's been since 2007. So we have an inverted yield curve. We have the 2-year bond yield at the highest since 2007, and we have the 10-year soaring. So what is this telling us? Let me know your thoughts, comment down below, but I don't think it's good news, and I'm really paying attention now to the 10-year. I looked at the 30-year fixed rate mortgage today, and it's sitting at 5.95%. So that means if you don't have an 800 plus FICO, if you don't have 20% down, you're probably going to be paying 7%, maybe more than 7% now on a 30-year fixed. Really a lot happening. And tomorrow will be really interesting because we're going to get the job numbers tomorrow. And we all know they'll be very manipulated. But we'll see where they come in tomorrow and what effect, if any, it has on these markets. I want to share an article with all of you I was reading today on the hedge. Era of fake money is gone. Egan von Grier's warns no one can escape what's coming. I think Egan von Grier's is a super bright guy, and I think he's very awake. And he said that we're going to see a 30% or so fall in the markets in the next 1 to 2 months. And he says that will just be the beginning. Markets will fall 90 to 95% in the coming years. And he says if it happens overnight, the world will shut down. And he stresses the importance to be owning gold. He says they're going to try to save the markets with fake money. Their solution will cause a global collapse. He says you have to remember when the debt collapses, all the assets that were supported by this debt also collapse. Their solution of printing money won't work. Adding new debt to pay off old debt is not the solution. And that's exactly what we've been doing, and it is a disaster. No one is going to escape what is coming, ladies and gentlemen. He goes on to say this: gold never goes up in price. It maintains purchasing power. And I know that there's people out there that get very triggered when I say buy gold. And I'm going to tell you now, gold's down about $20 today. Everything is selling off at this point. If this Fed pivots next year and begins firing up those printing presses, we're going to see the collapse of the US dollar, and you're going to see gold absolutely go ballistic. I think that, and I don't give financial advice, but I'm sharing with all of you what I do. When I see pullbacks like this, I back up the truck. I'm going to make another order. I'm going to continue to buy gold and protect myself, because we are heading into a dead end here. And all of these fake monopoly currencies around the world where countries have printed into infinity are on borrowed time. I do believe right now you got to have cash, and some may even say cash is king right now. But until when? For how much longer? And when the dollar goes, and when we begin to see more competition from other currencies that may be backed partially by gold, like the Chinese yuan, what happens then? This is why I hold gold. You can hold whatever you want. You can hold dollars, you can hold cryptos, you can hold stocks, you can hold bonds. I don't think there's any place to run other than gold right now. And I was just looking at some of the data. this morning. Gold year to date is down 7.28%, but the Dow Jones is down almost 14% year to date. The NASDAQ is down over 26% year to date. The S&P is down almost 18% year to date. Bitcoin is down 70% from its high, and it's down 57% year to date. Now, the big difference from gold to the markets, to bonds, to cryptos is I can access my gold within minutes. And if there is a power outage, if there are cyber attacks, if grids go down, you name it, I can still access my money, the only money, God's money, gold and silver. Let's not forget silver. It has really been beaten down, and I believe it's going to go along for the ride with gold too, and it's on sale. So I think you need to be buying real things right now. And again, that's not financial advice, but it is always going to have value. It's always going to have purchasing power. And when we look at what's happening globally, what China, Russia, India, Saudi Arabia, all these BRIC nations, they're all buying gold. Central banks all buying gold. So something that I just wanted to mention, because I don't see things improving, and I certainly don't see the U.S. dollar improving. I think it's going to come under immense pressure in 2023. I hold cash, no doubt. But again, how long can we hold cash before it becomes even more worthless than it is now? I think we need to begin counting our wealth in ounces and not in dollars. I think that's where the future is going to be. People want real things. They want currency backed by something real, something that has a history. But let's move on to this. Let's talk about what's happening in the real economy here in the U.S. Evictions soar. 8.5 million people in the U.S. are behind on rent. And when you look at some of the areas, the highest eviction areas in the U.S., Tampa, the eviction rate is up 52%. Houston, Texas, the eviction rate is up 90%. St. Paul, Minnesota, up 92%. And we also have to understand that a lot of these rental properties, 74% of the rental market is made up by mom and poppers, and they're not getting paid. So that puts these people in jeopardy, that they can't make their mortgage payment because somebody's not paying on their rental property. So this whole thing's a disaster. But I mean, look at that. Tampa, Florida, up 52% evictions. Houston up 90%, and St. Paul, Minnesota up 92%. 8.5 million people, ladies and gentlemen, cannot pay their rent, and we have 20 million people who cannot pay their utility bills now here in America. That's 1 in 6 people. Yet people are going to tell you and I that, yeah, you shouldn't own gold, you shouldn't be putting cash away, you shouldn't be putting food and water away, security away. Everything's going to be okay. The Fed's going to save the day. The politicians are going to save the day. They are so delusional. These people are ignorant. And it's typically the people who have no preparations, the people who are getting scared now. It's the people that are very scared and unprepared who lash out now and say it's never going to happen, because they have this syndrome now that if they just keep saying it and believing it, it's not going to happen. It's like, you know, Stockholm syndrome. The hedge today, worse than a couple years ago. Food bank demand spikes as inflation wrecks households. This on CNBC News, and it's in this article on the hedge. Tricia Cunningham, CEO of Northern Texas Food Bank, she said this: we are serving now at higher levels than we did at the peak of the health crisis. CBS News pointed out in this article that 53 million Americans relied on food banks in 2021 compared to 40 million people that relied on food banks in 2019. So that's 13 million new Americans now who have fallen victim to this economy, who now are reliant on food banks. And I've talked about this over the last couple years when we would go out to these tent cities. We would go out to these homeless camps. We would go feed dogs and people, and we're still doing that. And when this weather cools down a little bit, we're going to get out and definitely do that. But this is a crisis now. We have a humanitarian crisis happening all over the U.S. where people are living on sidewalks, in boxes, in tents. And we're going to continue to see middle-class people faced with this disaster, where they are now facing homelessness, because first it starts at the food banks, they need food, then the car gets repoed, now they're behind on rent, they're behind the utility bills, no car, you're evicted, guess what? Now you're living in a tent, you're living in a box, you're in big trouble. And this is why I continue to tell people, do not get complacent. Continue to prepare. You have to make sacrifices. I know many of you have been making sacrifices over the years to put that extra cash away, to put the extra gold and silver away, to put the extra food away, to get a skill set, to get a mindset, to surround yourself with the right people. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. And so many millions of people are going to wake up one day and they're going to realize that they're in big trouble. And it's too late for them. If you have the means right now, make sure you begin to prepare. You may have to sacrifice things in your life. You may have to cut out going out to dinner, going out to lunch, taking a vacation, buying that car, buying that toy. You may have to, just stop gambling in these markets and start putting money into something real. I think this is the time now where you really have to be careful with speculation, and you have to get defensive, and you have to own real things. Another one from the hedge. U.S. manufacturing surveys signal weakest growth in over 2 years. Prices paid plunges. Demand for goods has now been down for 3 months in a row. And you just think, how in the world did the Dow Jones even close in the green today with this news? I have no idea. Maybe it's hopeful that we're going to get better than expected job numbers tomorrow. Here's another one. Just days after phasing out new gas cars, California says avoid charging EVs amid grid emergency. So I think it's going to be around 113 today. I think it was about 115 yesterday, 116 the day before. The grid is literally melting down out here in the state of California. And so now they're telling you don't plug in your EVs, but yet they want everybody to drive an EV. So just think about how ignorant and just nuts this is. The hypocrisy that we're witnessing take place, where they want you to buy this stuff, but then they're telling you not to plug it in. They're telling you to shut off your air conditioning, don't water your lawns, use less water, don't wash your car, take a shorter shower. But getting back to this, they're telling every one of us that you're going to have an electric vehicle here in California, because they're not going to allow gas vehicles in California by 2035. But the grid is melting down right now. Could you imagine if 10 or 20% of the vehicles in California were EVs? The grid here would it would explode. It would just blow up. It would be it would be a disaster if we were running 10, 20% EVs right now, let alone 50, 60, 90, 100% EVs here. This is absolutely delusional. The grid cannot even handle you and I running an air conditioning unit in this heat, yet they want you to drive an electric car. We'll see how it all plays out, but we are definitely not prepared for it. And I'm sorry, windmills are not going to sustain the power needed in the state of California. It's just not going to happen, and that's just reality. Now, I want to turn to another story here. This was on Fox Business. Extreme heat and flooding hits desert tourism. And they were talking about the city of Lake Havasu, Arizona. Now, we were just there at the end of July, and I was reading the article, and they're saying, look, it's been really hot, so it's affecting tourism. We're having monsoons, that's affecting tourism. We were there in July, we had monsoons, it was hot. Tell me what summer in Lake Havasu, Arizona, when it's not hot, when there's not monsoons. And it fascinates me in this article that they're making excuses, blaming the weather. I mean, you're in the middle of the desert. It's Lake Havasu, Arizona, okay? Lake Havasu, Arizona. And they're blaming the heat on tourism. Why don't we all wake up out of our comas and blame it on what it really is? It's a falling and collapsing and failing economy, and it's inflation. People have to pay more money to put gas in the car when they go to these areas. I can tell you, food prices in Lake Havasu Arizona have gone up. Lodging at the hotels has gone up. The price of gas to get there has gone up. And people just can't do it. It's not monsoons. It's not triple degree temperatures because it's 110, 115, 120 degrees every June, July, August, and September. So it's interesting to see how they just keep trying to throw a curveball at everybody and not really telling you the reason why tourism is failing. It's because people don't have the discretionary funds to go there. They're not going there as much with their boats because, you know, maybe they don't want to spend $700, $800, $1,200, $1,500 on gasoline to run their boats over the weekend. And that's very easy to do in Lake Havasu, Arizona. You can easily spend $1,000 running your boat on a weekend out there. I've seen some pretty big boats. You can easily spend $300 a night lodging. You can spend $100 on a dinner for a couple there easily. So there's less and less people who can do that. And it's not just Lake Havasu. It's happening in your areas. I can tell you out here in the desert, which is a tourist area, Palm Desert, Palm Springs, you don't see the amount of people you see out here on a normal summer. It's hot. It's always hot in the summer, but I can tell you it's no doubt we're seeing less people this summer than we have last summer. And I'm seeing less Canadians here that I normally see. So it's very apparent. It's very obvious. Our season really kicks off after September, so we'll see how it picks up. But I think that many of the restaurants and the retailers here have been absolutely decimated over the last 12, 18 months. We go back even farther than that because I was making videos 2 years ago on the amount of closures out here in the desert. It was already falling apart. And then, of course, we had the health crisis, and now we're dealing with an economic crisis. And we're going to pay a huge price for the $6+ trillion we pumped into the economy and into these markets in 24 months. It's going to get much worse. So where do you go? Where do you hide? Me, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. It's cash and it's gold. And we are watching the real estate market daily now. As you know, we are heading to the south to purchase a farm. And when the prices correct enough, we're out of here. Again, 30-year fixed rate on a mortgage, 5.95%. It's going over 6. This is going to be catastrophic for the housing market, for the home builders. And I don't have to tell you what's happening to home builder stocks. They've been absolutely decimated. I'm going to leave it there today. Let me know your thoughts, comment down below. Please share this video, give it a like, and make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell notification so that you are alerted when the newest videos drop. Have a great day, and I look forward to speaking with all of you very soon.